And now from Tournament Central, it's time to bring you an update on the teams competing for the Class 4A State Football Championship. First, let's take a look at LaSalle-Peru. In LaSalle County, the school is located with a population of 33,000, 63 miles north of normal Bloomington, with an enrollment of 1,784 students. Their nickname is the Cavaliers. They lost to Joliet Catholic 30-6 in last year's 4A championship playoff down here. Coach Joe Marini, there for his 7th year, has a record of 57-20. The team is 10-2 on the season. And last year, Coach Marini says we had them for 3 quarters, but they got away in the 4th, and that's what they normally do. And we don't feel that they'll do it this year. I wondered if the 2-platoon system would be the problem with them. He says no, because we'll rest our guys and we'll play enough of them to be able to stay up with him. He's got a super passer in Greg OSTROWSKI. He'll throw it to 4 men on that team. It should be a wide open and a good football game. How about the Hilltoppers, Mike?
Well, Joliet Catholic, of course, is in Joliet and has a school enrollment of 1,439. When and if LaSalle-Peru scores this afternoon, it will be the first point scored against Joliet Catholic in this year's playoffs. The Hilltoppers shut out West Chicago 22-0, Rich Central 26-zip, and Lake Forest 33-0 on their way to the 4A finals. Coach Gordon Gillespie's team is riding a 31-game winning streak, and the last time they lost a playoff game was in the 1974 quarterfinals to Barrington. If they win it today, it will be their 4th consecutive Class 4A title, Floyd.
And that would be quite an accomplishment. And right now, here's Bob Starr to introduce our national anthem.
Well, we'll have the starting lineups and the opening kickoff for you shortly, but first, here is our national anthem. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand and sing our national anthem. We're ready for the 4A championship game. A good day for football here at Illinois State University at Hancock Field in Normal, Illinois. The sun is out. It's slightly overcast, but it's a very, very comfortable day, and I would have to say, gentlemen, perhaps more comfortable than when we started things yesterday afternoon, even though the sun is not quite as bright. But we'll have a good day and a hard-hitting couple of football games today. Joliet Catholic for the first game this afternoon against LaSalle-Peru, and then tonight the St. Rita and Buffalo Grove game. Of course, we'll be on the air this evening with that one. So we hope you enjoy the final 2 games of our state championship tournament from Illinois State University. Have the introduction of players coming up shortly, and an amazing record coming in here from Joliet Catholic with 31 wins in a row and a 50-1 record. And in their playoffs, as Mike Pyle had told you, they have not had a point scored upon them. So let's go with the lineups, and here is Floyd Brown.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. LaSalle-Peru won the coin toss a few minutes ago and has elected to receive. They'll be defending the North goal. And now, the beginning lineups. First, the offensive team for LaSalle-Peru in the white jerseys. Number 85 at left end, Chuck Cundy. At left tackle, number 64, Steve Munson. At left guard, number 55, Brian Grebner. At center, number 53, Jim Dressback. At right guard, number 62, Mike Knobloch. At right tackle, number 75, Jeff OSTROWSKI. At right end, number 82, Bob Wendy. The quarterback for LaSalle-Peru, number 10, Greg OSTROWSKI. At halfback, number 21, Mike Lupczynski. At the flanker, number 80, John DiCarlo. Also, flanker back, number 24, Brian SARVER. And the fullback, number 42, Pete BRAY. And the coach of the Cavaliers, Joe MARINI. And now for the Hilltoppers from Joliet, the dark jerseys on defense. At the left end, number 67, Dean Morelli. At left tackle, number 60, Tom Connor. At right tackle, number 71, Mark Morel. At right end, number 75, Brian LARSON. At linebacker, number 50, Don Wilson. At linebacker, number 66, Joe Kamaroskus. At linebacker, number 53, John Piazza. Defensive back, number 22, Tom Tyrell. At defensive back, number 21, Mike Purviance. At defensive back, number 44, Paul Carberry. And the defensive safety, number 11, Tim Tyrell. And now the coach of the Joliet Catholic Hilltoppers, Gordon Gillespie. Well, there you have the starting lineups, and now to bring you the play-by-play of this 4A championship game, here is the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, Bob Starr.
Thank you, Floyd Brown. We are set to go with this afternoon's 4A championship game. Glad you could come along for the telecast. Hope to bring you an outstanding game, and no reason why we should not. In the dark jerseys, Joliet Catholic, you see across the way, around Coach Joe MARINI, the Cavaliers of LaSalle-Peru. Outstanding day for football. The colors green and red, although in the all-white uniform, Joliet Catholic, or LaSalle-Peru. The officials, Stan Decker, Norm Lineman, Donald McBean, and Robert Wright be working the game here today. Kicking off for Joliet Catholic will be Joe Fitzgerald. Back deep to return, Mike Lupczynski. Be one of the deep return men. And the other appears to be Ken Witt. So we are ready to go for a championship. And the kick comes high and deep. Taken at the 10-yard line. That is Mike Lupczynski. Gets out to about the 21, 22-yard line, and that is about as far as he can go. And down on the stop for Joliet Catholic, Mike Morel, a defensive tackle, 5'8" and 180, a 16-year-old junior. At the 21-yard line is where LaSalle-Peru will put it in play. Their quarterback, Greg OSTROWSKI, Mike Lupczynski, John DiCarlo. They come out with a flanker to the right side. Don Haas was the wide man, the pitch to Lupczynski, and he is hit right at the 20-yard line and stopped. May have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Did a good defensive job on him. Getting off the pile, John Piazza, their fine linebacker, 6'2", 185, and we might as well make mention of the fact, Mike Pyle, that Mr. Piazza's name is going to be mentioned more than one time here this afternoon. He's that kind of football player. LaSalle-Peru, a wide man at the left side and a double tight end set. Back to throw is OSTROWSKI, and the rush is on, and he is hit and going to be dropped back at about the 11-yard line, and making the charge, Mark Morel, the defensive tackle, 5'8" and 180, and dropped him back at about the 12.
Let's take a look at this. There's Mark Morel right off of that block. fights off another block, and in on the sack. The Joliet Catholic Hilltoppers using a pro defense 4-3-4 and pretty much standard, the way they might play it. Their linebackers on the outside are up on that line of scrimmage, but Mark Morel had no trouble getting to the quarterback that time.
So they're now faced with a third down at about 19. Pitch to the tailback, Gillespie, and he is going to be hit as he gets to the sideline around the 12. Got back to the line of scrimmage perhaps, but no more. Was cut down. Coming up from the secondary is Mike Purviance. He's 5'6", 155, a senior. So early, with a fourth down and 19, LaSalle-Peru is going to have to kick it out of there. Pete Bray is the fellow that does their punting. One of the people back deep to return, Paul Carberry. And the other is number 11, Tom Thayer. Good snap. Hanging it out toward Tyrell. Takes it at about the 36 to about the 32. A very short return and good punt coverage on a tough punt to cover. It was a line drive type of punt. Coming down to make the hit was Rich Weber for LaSalle-Peru. And we're in the first quarter. It is scoreless. And our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this. Joliet Catholic taking over at the 31-yard line of LaSalle-Peru after the punt. Only a 4-yard return. Good coverage, but still very, very good field position. The quarterback is Mark Morel. Give goes off to the fullback, tries the right side, and good defensive play. On the carry was Scott KINSELLA, but he was wrapped up in a hurry and got virtually nothing out of it. No gain on the play. We'll call it 2nd down and 10. Coming over on the stop, Mike Knobloch. 205, 16-year-old junior for LaSalle-Peru. 2nd down and 10 now for Joliet Catholic, just into this first quarter of play. They put a man wide to the right side, Tom Pundell. Pitch to the tailback, to the 30, 25, and down near the 21-yard line.
Here's the middle linebacker, Herb Reese, on the isolation. Fights off a block there, number 30, going out behind one of the other linebackers and gets in on the tackle late. But Herb Reese is, well, not their regular middle linebacker. Their regular middle linebacker was hurt early in the season and is out. That's Chuck Johnson, so Reese has had to replace Johnson.
They come out in a standard pro set and give on the counter back to the right side to Ron Nagel. He gets inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line, coming over his own right tackle. Getting off the pile, the defensive tackle, Jeff Ostrowski. He was 260 pounds, 6'2". He's only a junior, 16 years old. They got a couple of yards on it. And we have a timeout called by LaSalle-Peru. A 2nd down and almost 9 yards to go for the first down. LaSalle-Peru in the white here this afternoon, calling for the timeout. That is Gordon Gillespie on the sideline, the coach of Joliet Catholic. So we're in the first quarter. It is scoreless. And our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this. Second down and about 8.5 yards to go for Joliet Catholic there at the 19-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. Come out in the pro set. Put a wingman on the right side in the fake and back to throw is Morel. It is complete. Coming down and across down to about the 11-yard line and making the reception was Dave Matichak. He had a man on him. A good reception, Mike, because the coverage was not that bad on it.
Let's look at the fake by Morel here. See where he hides that football on the play-action fake, and a great reception by Matichak with the defender right on him. He takes the ball and taken down, but it was a nice catch with that defender right on him.
The kid was Reese that was on him there, and he did play him very closely, but just couldn't get inside to the ball.
They're short of a first down by about 1.5 feet or so. They line up in the power eye. Give it to Matichak. He gets the first down, coming over the right side, inside the 10, down to near the 8-yard line before he is wrestled to the ground. And off the bottom of the pile comes that middle linebacker playing in place of Chuck Johnson. That is, no, it's Greg Ratajczak who made the stop. I was going to say the middle linebacker, but Ratajczak was the man who made the initial hit. But it is now first down and goal to go for Joliet Catholic with 7 minutes and 29 seconds to play in the first quarter. To the tailback, Matichak. He may lose some, and he does. He loses a bit anyway to about the 10-yard line. Good defensive play by John DiCarlo, number 80 for LaSalle-Peru, and tracked him down.
Let's take a look at it. Dave Matichak is Joliet Catholic's bread and butter ball player, over 1,000 yards this year, but he cannot outrun the strong safety John DiCarlo, and there is John.
So they lost a little yardage on the play. Second down and goal to go from just inside the 10. Lost about a couple of yards. Matichak goes wide to the right side. Coming out wide to the left side is Waver Armstrong. Back to throw, and a rush is on, and they drop him back at around the 15-yard line, and good pursuit. Coming hard from the defensive left side. That is Herb Reese, a linebacker, number 30, that was able to get him.
Here we can get a look at it. Drop back to pass. Herb Reese chasing him. And not much of a chance. Good rush that time. The middle linebacker coming in on the red dog and making the stop.
The other tackler, Dwayne Putoff, number 52, that you saw on the play. So now it is third and goal to go from the 15 of LaSalle-Peru. And Morel wants to throw, and it is incomplete in the end zone. It was intended for Armstrong, number 80, coming down and in.
He was lucky he didn't get an interception there. He was well covered. This Buffalo Grove team has a reputation of being overpowering on defense. Here's the play again, Mike.
There's the pass by Morel. Really not much of a chance on this one. Too many defenders, and of course the receiver fell down.
They're going to try for a field goal. Joe Fitzgerald is the kicker. Snap back in the ball down, but it'll not be good. He hooked it and hit it a little fat. And they let it roll around. It's finally picked up, and a return will be made. They'll get it back to around the 10-yard line. So that's where LaSalle-Peru will put it in play, and a flag is down at the point of the tackle on the return. Picking it up in the secondary was Brian Sarver for LaSalle-Peru. They'll take over about their 10, but perhaps a penalty might be tacked on to this. A personal foul is the indication going against Joliet Catholic. They may have hit him after he was out of bounds, so this gets them out of the hole. The missed field goal, good defensive play, plus the penalty tacked on, gets them out of a bit of a hole, and they're out at their 25.
Well, it sure does, and of course the reason I think that the field goal went awry is the snap was behind the holder, and when that happens, of course, the timing is messed up, and as you can see, the kicker didn't get much of the football.
So Brian Sarver goes out wide to the left side as LaSalle-Peru takes over again. Double tight end set, and they line up in the I. OSTROWSKI gives to the first man through, and that is the fullback on the carry. That is Pete Bray, who gets just a couple of 3 yards, wrapped up at about the 28-yard line, bringing up a second down and 7.
Pete Bray's been the ball carrier that's carried most for LaSalle-Peru this season. He's run for about 775 yards. LaSalle-Peru has pretty much a balanced attack. They'll equally run or pass.
John DiCarlo wide to the left side as they alternate the flankers, bringing in the plays. To the tailback, Gillespie trying to get wide, turns the corner, and gets it out to about the 33-yard line. Giving chase on the play was Tom Thayer. He finally chased him out into Mike Purviance, who was able to come up from the secondary and stop him about 2 yards short of a first down. Third down and about 2 to go at their own 33 for LaSalle-Peru. The Cavaliers in the white here, and the Hilltoppers from Joliet Catholic in the dark jerseys. They are a dark brown jersey. Coming out wide to the right side, Don Haas sitting on the right wing. Couple of yards to go. Third down call. OSTROWSKI to Gillespie, turns it to the left, squirts up to around the 35, maybe to the 36, and the penetration appears to be beyond the 35-yard line, giving them a first down as he was tracked down again. Coming up from the secondary, Tom Thayer and Mike Purviance to get in on the play.
I don't know whether we had an opportunity to touch on it yet about the brother act that's out here with the quarterback, OSTROWSKI, Greg OSTROWSKI, number 10, his younger brother, who's 100 pounds heavier, Jeff OSTROWSKI, is number 75, going both ways in the line.
First down at their own 36 for LaSalle-Peru. They run the counter on the wingback, but a whistle blows at the snap of the ball. And we may have had someone lining up offside, the encroachment call or procedure. It is a procedure call against LaSalle-Peru, and that'll be costly. They'll wind up with a 1st and 15 from back around their own 31-yard line.
As you mentioned, Floyd, Jeff OSTROWSKI, 100 pounds heavier. He's a 260-pound lineman, and of course, outstanding on defense. And he has a counterpart on that LaSalle-Peru team, Dennis Putoff, at 230 pounds.
Brian Sarver coming out wide right. There you see a 1st and 15 as OSTROWSKI is under center. Wants to throw. Looking for Sarver. And it's going to take a heck of a grab, and it's intercepted and picked off by Joliet Catholic's Tom Thayer. Comes back down the side to around the 29-yard line and finally forced out of bounds. The ball hung up, and it was a fight between the receiver and the defender won the battle and returned up the sideline and finally was forced out at the 29-yard line. And another break for Joliet Catholic. The ball didn't have much mustard. It hung up a little bit, Mike.
Let's take a look at that interception. And there's Tyrell on the interception. He just takes the ball away from the receiver. And look at the blockers out in front of him for the run back. And the big fullback you see is the one that's going to knock him out of bounds.
Play back in as they pick up a couple of yards to about the 27-yard line.
Joliet has had good field position on both of their possessions. The Buffalo Grove team, or LaSalle-Peru team, get the right game, Flood. We're getting game happy here in our fourth game. But the LaSalle-Peru team held very well last time down near their goal. It'll be interesting to see if they can contain again.
Morel is the quarterback. The previous ball carrier was Scott Kinsella, the fullback. They give this time to the halfback countering back to the right side, and that is Ron Nagel. He gets very little, if anything. Good defensive play. Herb Reese, number 30, coming in on the play, and number 52 on the defensive side of things for LaSalle-Peru is Dwayne Putoff. He is 6'1", 195, only a junior. A lot of underclassmen getting an opportunity, and we've seen them in the previous two games. A lot of underclassmen getting some action here in championship play. Third down and about 7 to go from the 26, and Morel is back to throw. Now he wants to run to the 25 and out of bounds, banged out of bounds around the 25, perhaps the 24-yard line, pushed out by Greg Ratajczak, 6'1", 195.
Here we have, get a look at it. Mark Morel back to pass again. And you'll see the opening up, the opening up here. Plenty of room to run, so Mark Morel sees it, and he heads for that sideline, but he really doesn't get a lot of running room.
Gordon Gillespie looking on from the Joliet Catholic side at the 24-yard line. Fourth down and about 6 yards to go. Morel rolling out, being rushed, being hit, fumbles the football. Picked up by LaSalle-Peru, and it is taken down to the 45-yard line. And on the fumble recovery, we'll check a number. It is number 62 who picked it up and was going to try to return, Mike Knobloch, 205-pound junior.
Let's watch this one. Morel using a sprint out pass, but the pass rush is just tremendous. Bob Wendy, one of their outstanding defensive players. He plays a defensive end position, coming in there and giving Morel no chance at all. And of course the fumble over to LaSalle-Peru.
So it's at their 42. Good field position. Gillespie cuts it back in, dives to around the 45-yard line. He picks up a couple of 3 yards. Good offensive move coming across. The defensive tackle was Brian Larson. He is 6'1", 205. You like the size and the quickness of these people, and you get into this level of play in the 4A championship. Across the way, LaSalle-Peru's coaching staff, headed by Joe Marini, looking on. Second down and about 6 yards to go. Into the middle, the fullback carries, gets a couple of 3 yards again across the 45 to near the 48-yard line. Pete Bray, the fullback, on the carry. Middle of the line, stacks him up. They are faced now with a 3rd down and 4 situation on their own 48. Best field position they have had, trying to take advantage of a Joliet Catholic mistake on the fumble. Bob Wendy caused the fumble, and then it was Mike Knobloch who picked it up, tried to return, and got a yard or so before falling down. On the 3rd and 4. It is complete out to the left side at the 45-yard line, and making the grab, Brian Sarver. There was a flanker on the left side. The little turnout went down about 10 and cut to the sideline. That's a tough pass to cover.
Brian Sarver was wide open on that play. Ran a good pattern and might have been a little mix-up on the coverage because he had no one around him when he caught the football.
It's at the 45 of Joliet Catholic. They go with the double tight end set, a wingman on the right side. To the fullback, Pete Bray, just about 2 yards, maybe no more than a yard. Give you an idea of how active the Joliet Catholic defense is. From the secondary coming up on the stop was Tim Tyrell, along with the defensive lineman who made the play, one of whom was Dean Morelli, a defensive tackle. But there was Tim Tyrell, a 6-footer, 160-pound, coming up from the secondary to get on the play at the line of scrimmage. A gain of about a yard. 2nd down and 9. It's at the 43-yard line of Joliet Catholic. To the tailback, trying to slip off to the left side. And just into the ball game on the carry was Ken Quitt, 5'7", 160, a senior. He's 18 years old. Got just about a yard. Third down and still the better part of 8 yards to go. They call it 9. 24 seconds to play in this first quarter. It is scoreless, counting down. LaSalle-Peru coming out into a slot right. Sarver is the slot man. The wide man to the right side is John DiCarlo. Mix up on the play and a fumble. And he fumbled the snap, and it is recovered by Joliet Catholic. And coming off the football is number 60, Tom Connor, a 5'8", 175-pound defensive tackle, and they take over, and now they will have the opportunity to take advantage of a LaSalle-Peru mistake. The ball at the 45-yard line of Catholic.
Well, Bob, to show you the intensity in this football game, in the first quarter, there's already been 3 turnovers. LaSalle has thrown an interception and fumbled, and Joliet has 1 fumble.
So we have come to the end of the first quarter with no score in this game, and our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this. 45-yard line of Joliet Catholic. The Hilltoppers have the football. It's on their own 45. We're scoreless starting the second quarter. Look at some of the many interested fans here this afternoon for this 4A championship game. One more to come. The 5A title game will be tonight. St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove.
Well, I might mention, Bob, there's been pretty good defensive contests. Both teams, as I said, very much up for this game and not untracked yet. LaSalle-Peru gained 21 yards total in the first quarter, and Joliet 12 yards rushing and 9 yards passing. So
21
not
again,
much offense, yes, yet. Is that what that adds up to?
21 again.
Thank you.
I did that. You know, we were talking about the brother acts a little bit ago. I was talking about OSTROWSKI. They also had a brother who was starting tackle for Auburn last year, and their dad was a professional, and Mike will tell you about him a little bit later on. But
Baltimore Colts, boy.
They've got 3 brother acts on this Catholic high school team from Joliet. I'll tell you about them after this.
Morel gives off in the counter, and coming back to the left side on the carry was Dave Matichak, and they stack him up after a gain of a couple of 3 yards. The man making the stop, the initial stop made by Dennis Putoff, or not Dennis Putoff, but Kevin Nickel. Nope, it's not Kevin Nickel, it's Dennis Putoff. We had number changes here, and so I'm getting my numbers straightened out. Number 77 for LaSalle-Peru is playing. Number 77 for Joliet Catholic is not playing today. So it's a gain of a couple, second down and 8. This is Mark Morel looking, and it is broken up. Good defensive play in the secondary. Coming up was Don Haas for LaSalle-Peru to break it up. The intended receiver was number 81, Tom Pondell.
We were talking a moment ago about the brothers. Well, here's the replay of the play.
Let's take a look at the replay. Nicely thrown pass, but great defense.
Number 44, Don Haas on the defensive play. Wide to the left side now is Ron Nagel. And the pitch comes back to the tailback, trying to get wide to the right and forced out of bounds. On the carry was Scott Kinsella. Made a move to the sideline. He will come up short of a first down. He was forced out on the near sideline by Herb Reese, playing at a linebacker, 5'9", 160 pounds.
John Piazza, number 53, a fellow you said we'll be hearing a great deal about a little bit earlier, Bob, has a brother on the team, Jamie Piazza. We have Tim Tyrell and Tom Tyrell. They're identical twin brothers, and we also have Ken and Mike Tussey, who are brothers. 3 brothers, 3 sets of brothers here on this team.
On the fake to the sideline, broken up and intercepted, and coming down is Don Haas, and he is out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. Good quick interception. He took a chance, and that's all you can say, Mike. He took a chance, and it paid off for him, and he got it back to the 34.
Well, he was in position to make that gamble, as you say, if that ball gets by him at 6 points, but he was in position, came up quickly, and made that interception, and it was a great play, another turnover.
We may have a problem here. There was a penalty on the play. But anyway, in this second quarter, we're scoreless, and our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this. No penalty on the play, but they did rule that Don Haas did step out of bounds back at the 46-yard line of LaSalle-Peru on making the interception. Stepped out almost immediately. So LaSalle-Peru takes over. The Cavaliers come out in their I formation and go with the slot right. Brian SARVER is the man in the right slot. And the pitch coming to Gillespie, trying to get to the left side, and he is ridden out of bounds after gaining perhaps a yard on the play. And number 75 is Brian LARSON. The defensive tackle is 6'1" and 205. A senior rode him out. Gain of just a couple of yards to about the 48-yard line. Second down and about 8 yards to go for LaSalle-Peru. So we've seen some turnovers.
Bob, in my opinion, they're going to have to generate a ground game, but we're looking at the defensive line play awfully good, but those defensive backs on both teams are outstanding.
Wing on the right side. They're going to run the counter back to the wing back. Inside the 50, down to about the 48-yard line on the wing back counter. They ran it pretty well. Picked up a little bit on the play. Don Haas was the man who carried. They'll mark him down at the 49-yard line where a knee touchdown. So they still have long yardage to go on third down and about 6 to go. Brian SARVER alternating along with Don Haas carrying in plays for Greg Ostrowski, the quarterback for LaSalle-Peru. Third down, 6 yards to go. To Gillespie. He will not get the first down, trying to wedge it out over his own right tackle. Was not able to pick up the first down. They will be forced into a punting situation. So Joliet Catholic has made the defensive play to force the punting situation. Up from the secondary again was Tom Thayer, and also from the defensive line came Dean Morelli, 6'3", 212-pound defensive tackle. To do the punting is Pete BRAY for LaSalle-Peru. Tim Tyrell is one of the men back. He hangs it up high, should allow good coverage. A fair catch is called for, taken back at about the 19-yard line by Paul Carberry. So it'll be near the 20 where Joliet Catholic puts it in play, and the Hilltoppers will have it right at the 20-yard line.
I mentioned the defensive backfields of both teams. It's going to be tough for Joliet Catholic or LaSalle-Peru to pass the ball. You've got on Joliet Catholic's defense the twins, Tom and Tim Tyrell and Paul Carberry, all three outstanding players. And on the defense for the Cavaliers, Brian SARVER and John DiCarlo. It'll be tough to pass for either team.
Pondell comes wide to the right side. They go with the slot man on the right wing and give to the tailback up the middle. Short yardage pickup on the play. Carrying was Dave Matichak. He got about 3 or 4 near the 24. Second down and about 6 to go.
There's the isolation on the linebacker, Greg Matichak, in on the stop.
Second down and about 6 from their own 24, and the offense moves ahead of the snap. More than likely will cost them 5, an illegal procedure call. That'll move it back to about the 19-yard line, bring up second down and 11.
Though Buffalo Grove is supposedly the larger of the two teams here, they seem to be pretty well equally matched physically down on the field, both on the line and at defensive back, if you say. The defensive back seems to be a bit larger for the, I said that again, didn't I, the LaSalle-Peru team. Still trying to get into tonight's game, LaSalle-Peru.
We're going to make you buy a ticket into tonight's game. Armstrong is wide to the right side. Morel pitching back. Good opening. 30, 35, and there they go. On the carry, Scott Kinsella, the fullback, and he's going to go all the way for the touchdown. That'll be 81 yards from the 19-yard line. 81 yards for Scott Kinsella, and they break the big one. And we'll see it again to see how they did it, because once he cleared the line of scrimmage, Mike, he was gone.
No one got near him. Great execution on this pitch out. You can see the hole opening up there. Mark Morel giving him the blocking help, and you see no one really ever gets close to Scott Kinsella, and now he outruns everybody. See a last dive and desperation only. And there goes Scott Kinsella, 81 yards. Great play, boy. I think that play will go in the highlight film.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. They went for the two-point conversion and did not make it. On the carry was Dave Matichak. But we do have a score in the game. In this second quarter, the score is now Joliet Catholic 6, LaSalle-Peru nothing. And our coverage of the state high school football championships will continue after this.
Let's take a look at this touchdown play again. There's the pitch out by Morel to Scott Kinsella. And as I said before, great blocking. Boy, no one getting near him at all, being chased by Don Haas, but Don Haas can't catch him.
Here's the kickoff, and kicking it off is Tom Thayer. Taken at the 20. Pretty good return back to about the 31. Loose ball at the 34-yard line. On the return was Chuck Alvarado, but he fumbled at the 34-yard line, and it was recovered. Coming down to make the recovery was Mike Pollara, number 65. And again, Joliet Catholic gets a big break now on the opening kickoff after the touchdown. To the 34-yard line they will take over after the short return by Chuck Alvarado. We're going to change footballs. Still a bit of moisture. You can see on the field that there are some moist spots in the middle. Staying from the 20 to the 20, it is fairly dry, but that dry spot is only 15 to 18 yards wide. So there are some moist spots. We may see some of the players slip now and again. We have 8 minutes, 57 seconds to play here in this second quarter. 6-0 lead for Joliet Catholic, but an opportunity for them to take advantage of a big break, recovering the fumble at the LaSalle-Peru 34-yard line.
This could be an extremely demoralizing fact. A long run like that and then a fumble right afterwards.
Somebody getting a free seat to the ball game there. A balloon.
Where is that?
We can't see it from here.
I know it's up in the sky.
Get a lot of help from the truck, don't we? Thank you, Arnie.
At the 34, LaSalle-Peru back on the defense, and this really puts your defense under the gun. Giving up a long run, 81 yards, and then having to defend in their own territory at the 34. Mark Morel brings them out. They go into the power I, strong to the left. And to the tailback, Matichak tries to squirm free and does inside the 30 to about the 28, maybe the 29. They'll give his forward progress to the 28-yard line before he was finally wrestled down. Don Haas, number 44, coming up from the secondary, and also number 22, Rich Serafini.
Let's take a look at it. Dave Matichak, a hard running back, fighting for that extra yardage, and I want to tell you about the guy he's running behind in just a moment.
Second down, about 5 to go at the 28. A fumble on the play by Morel. He picks it up. He's going to be hit. Couldn't do anything with it. He fumbled the handoff, apparently trying to run a counter, although I'm not sure if he wasn't faking and going to go on the reverse by himself on the bootleg. But nevertheless, he loses back to the 33-yard line, and it'll bring up 3rd down and 9.
Floyd mentioned the big players in this game, the two big men on LaSalle-Peru. And Joliet Catholic has their own. The right tackle that Matichak ran behind the play before was just named an all-state player, Tom Thayer, and he's a 235-pounder, number 72.
Ron Nagel was wide to the left and back to throw on the halfback option to Armstrong, is wide open and has it for the touchdown. On the touchdown pass, it was thrown by John Carrio. He's a halfback on the halfback option, a 33-yard pass play.
Let's look at it, the halfback option. John Carrio, and he throws it to Tom Pondell, wide open on the option. Broke him loose, nobody around. Well, they're 2 touchdown plays. Nobody's been touched. And there's Tom Pondell.
I think I said Armstrong. I meant Pondell in a 33-yard play, and they'll try for 2 again. Off to Matichak, and this time he makes it in for the 2-point conversion. That makes it a 14-0 ball game. Here's the touchdown pass.
Let's look at the touchdown. He's the backup running back. John Carrio put in the ball game, I guess, just for this play. Throws a pretty nice pass to a wide-open Tom Pondell. Surprised and fooled the LaSalle-Peru defense. And from a little different angle, let's take a look at Carrio's pass. Boy, isn't that nice looking.
Threw a good ball. So it is 14-0. Joliet Catholic leading LaSalle-Peru, 7:44 to play. Second quarter. And ready for the Joliet Catholic kickoff. And again, they kick it with the tackle Tom Thayer coming across. On the return, back out to the 35-yard line was Chuck Alvarado. Finally ridden down around the 35. On the far side, coming over to make the stop for Joliet Catholic, was Joe Kamaruskas, number 66. It is first down. LaSalle-Peru at their own 35.
Alvarado's a tough-nosed kid, isn't he? He just bore straight ahead.
Well, he made a mistake on the early one, came back, took another kickoff return, and this time held on to it in good shape. They tried the quick pop up the middle with Pete Bray, and he gets only a couple of yards. A quick fullback pop, and they thought they might be able to break it, but got not too much out of it. Again, Kamaruskas was on the tackle, number 66, and off the bottom of the pile is Tom Connor, the defensive tackle that led the charge. They will mark it near the 37. It'll be second down, still about 9 yards to go. They're just shy of the 37-yard line. Coming out wide to the left side is Brian Sarver for LaSalle-Peru. They go with the double tight end set. Second down, 9 situation. OSTROWSKI back to throw, being rushed, scrambling. Now he has to go down as he is hit about the 33, and he will lose about 3 yards on the play. The pressure was coming again from number 60, Tom Connor, and number 67, Dean Morelli. They forced him to the sideline. He loses about 3 yards on the play. They have a third down now and about 13. 3 or 4 yard loss. 6 minutes and 25 seconds to play first half. 14-0. Joliet Catholic out on top. To Bray, the fullback, slanting off the right side to about the 37, maybe the 38-yard line. From the secondary, number 44, Paul Carberry, coming up to help out on the stop for Joliet Catholic. They'll mark it nearer the 37 and bring up a 4th down and 8 situation and a punting situation for LaSalle-Peru. Back deep will be number 11, Tim Tyrell, and number 44, Paul Carberry, in double safety for Joliet Catholic. The punter is Pete Bray for LaSalle-Peru. Hangs it up high, wobbly punt. Carberry calls for the fair catch, takes it about the 37-yard line of Joliet Catholic, and that is where they will put it in play. Want to remind you again, coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, the 5A championship game, St. Rita of Chicago versus Buffalo Grove. 7 o'clock tonight here on WGN, and we hope you'll join us for the telecast this evening.
I started to mention, Bob, the big men on the Joliet Catholic team. Tom Thayer, just named All-State, and Ken Tussey, the other tackle, is 6'4", 245. A couple of big men on the tackle positions.
Joliet Catholic on the move again, carrying on the play. The tailback coming over the right side is Ron Nagel, number 40. Gets it to about the 40-yard line. He was stacked up, the defensive end, cracking down John DiCarlo. They will mark it at about the 40, second down, and about 7 yards to go.
You'd like to think that you'd have a matchup, the 2 big men, the 230 and 260 pounder for LaSalle-Peru against the 2 big men for Joliet, but that isn't the way they play their defense, and I'd like to be able to explain that in a moment.
Get a look at it again. They give off to the tailback, and good defensive play drops him at the 40-yard line. Again, coming up from the secondary. We mentioned to you John DiCarlo was playing in. He's playing in the secondary. And I apologize for that, for putting him out of position. Also on the stop and leaving the field was Herb Reese, the linebacker, and he's going over to the sideline to talk with Joe Marini, the head coach. Those ladies appeared to be looking on rather apprehensively at the action here.
But as I said, Bob, LaSalle-Peru's got their 2 big men, Jeff Ostrowski, 260, Dennis Putoff, 230, in their defense, and it's a pro-type defense, a 4-3, but the 2 big tackles play on the guards. Now, the 2 men that are playing on the big offensive tackles, the 235-pounder Thayer and 245-pounder Tussey, they invert their linebackers. A regular 4-3 would have the linebackers on the outside, the defensive ends on the tackles, but they invert their linebackers, putting the smaller players, the linebackers, up against the 2 big men on offense. And to date, it really hasn't worked too badly because Joliet Catholic hasn't gained too much yardage on the ground around the tackles.
So it is third down, and still 7 yards to go for Joliet Catholic on their own 40-yard line. They line up in that power I to the tailback. Matichak hurdles a man and down to the 45-yard line. Underneath and coming up off the pile is the fellow who made the first contact on him, and that is number 62, and that is Mike Knobloch. Well, got him around the ankles.
Let's watch Matichak here, and Mike Knobloch, the defensive left end. He tries to hurdle Knobloch, but he gets a hold of him.
So it's at the 44, 4th down, and about 3 yards to go. And apparently, on the 4th down play, they're going to go for it. With a 4th down and 3, showing a little confidence in their offensive thrust. Now they shift out and go to their punt formation, and they
got the penalty.
So that's what they were looking for, to make a shift and see if they could draw the defense offside. Illegal procedure is the call, but it's going to go against Joliet Catholic. And Gordon Gillespie down on the sideline is not very happy about that. As they shift it out, it's going to cost them 5 rather than get a free 5 from the defense. And there's Coach Gillespie. He is not very pleased. A piece of strategy has gone awry for him here this afternoon.
Let's talk a little bit about Gillespie. He's 52 years old. He's been at Joliet Catholic for 27 years. And this is his 20th season as head coach over there, with a record of 152 wins, 41 losses, and 8 ties. And he's only had 1 losing season. That was his first year in 1959. Quite a coach.
So the penalty moves it back inside the 40 just by inches. And now they shift again into punt formation. This time no penalty flag. The punt is away. Hitting it is Ron Nagel. On the return is Don Haas, and he's going to be hit and dropped on good punt coverage. And down in a hurry to drop him was Tom Thayer, a 33-yard punt. No return on it. Tom Thayer, big number 72, covering down on the punt in good shape. And LaSalle-Peru takes over on their own 27-yard line, first down, with 3 minutes and 45 seconds to play. As we take a look at the sideline of Joe Marini with the telephone in his hand, the head coach of LaSalle-Peru. Brian SARVER comes out wide to the right side. Otherwise, they'll set up in the double tight end set. First down call as OSTROWSKI gives off to Pete Bray, the fullback. Hits to near the 30 and driven up and stacked up, and his forward progress will be near that 30-yard line. Coming up again from the secondary to help out on the play was Tom Tyrell. Underneath on the stop was Joe Kamarauskas, number 66. The ball resting right at the 30-yard line. Gain of about 3. Second down and 7 for LaSalle-Peru. The scoring, Scott Kinsella's 81-yard run for Joliet Catholic, and John Carrio throwing to Tom Pondle. A 33-yard pass for a touchdown. Now they'll try the halfback option perhaps. And Gillespie throws, and it has a chance to be intercepted, and it is. And picking it off is John Piazza. He's going to be ridden down back around the 45-yard line. They never do get him to the ground, but he picks off the interception. Coming up on the stop was John DiCarlo, who was one of the intended receivers down there, but it was picked off by John Piazza, the linebacker. And here's a look at it again. Mike Gillespie is the man who wants to throw, Floyd.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be able to throw it quite far enough. Actually, his man has gotten behind the defenders there. You can see he was about 3 yards back, but he couldn't throw it far enough to get to him downfield. And that results in interception by this young man here, and quite a ball game he's having.
John Piazza on the interception. Back to throw is Morel. He has a man deep. Down deep is number 40, Ron Nagel, and he can't handle the football at the 15-yard line. He had broken free beyond the secondary and couldn't hang on. Ron Nagel, 5'8", 176-pound senior for Joliet Catholic.
Well, this one is certainly thrown hard enough, going out to Nagel, and Nagel has his man beat. He must be at least 3 or 4 yards back, but you'll see a quick recovery here coming up there, and he just hit the ball and made it bobble around. Bob Windy on the defense, and an excellent job of recovering.
Second down, 10 from their own 45 for Joliet Catholic. Pitch back to Matichak. He gets to the 50 and to the 49 of LaSalle-Peru. Before he's finally brought down, coming up underneath on the tackle, Herb Reese, number 30. They'll mark it at the 49. It'll be a gain of close to 6 yards. Third down and 4 for Joliet Catholic. Just barely inside LaSalle-Peru territory. Couple of substitutions. Bring in an extra linebacker. That is Brian Grebner. They drop out number 75, Jeff OSTROWSKI. Jeff OSTROWSKI is 6'2", 260 pounds. He is 16 years old, only a junior. The pitch off to the tailback. Nagel turns it to the 45, down to the 40, still on his feet, inside the 40 to the 36-yard line, and picks up the first down. Making the stop, Dwayne Puthoff, number 52. Coming up underneath from the defensive secondary was John DiCarlo, and they pick up 13 yards on the play, and it's a first down near the 35-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. 1 minute and 49 seconds to play in this first half. The Hilltoppers of Joliet Catholic leading 14-0 at this point, and on the move. Power eye set up. They fake the counter. Ball is dropped, picked up by Morel. He's going to lose a lot of ground unless he can throw, and he dumps it off to Matichak. He's going to lose ground, too, if he can't get free, and finally is dropped back around the 48-yard line. So they missed connections on the handoff. Morel had to come back and finally tossed it off to Matichak, and he was trying to scramble to pick up some ground but could not. And over on the stop to drop him back there was Greg Ratajczyk for LaSalle-Peru, and they lost 13 yards on the play back to the 49.
I think he tried to hand off to Matichak at first. I don't know whether it was intended, but Matichak held up there as if for a screen, and he gets the ball, and you see he has absolutely no place to go. The Cavaliers excellent on pursuit on that instance.
So now it becomes second down and 24 yards to go at the 49-yard line of LaSalle-Peru as Morel gives to the fullback coming up into the middle. On the carry is Scott Kinsella, just punches his way for a couple of 3 yards. Knifing underneath was the big defensive tackle Jeff OSTROWSKI, who was back in there. Also underneath on the play to crack it down, Mike Knobloch, the defensive left end. They gave him a couple of yards to just inside the 47. Third down and still about 21 yards to go. Time running out in this first half. 40 seconds showing on the clock. Joliet Catholic, the home team here this afternoon. They have called for a timeout. So we'll remind you about the game tonight, 7 o'clock, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove in the 5A game, and we'll pause 5 seconds for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, Television 9.
Mark Morel trots back into the huddle. We look at the sideline across the way at the white-clad LaSalle-Peru Cavaliers. They're down 14-0.
The Hilltoppers are approaching this game with a precision-like, methodical approach. No excitement, just move into the play, perfect execution, and move.
Another fumble by Morel. Still has time to unload, and does, and it is broken up at the 40-yard line. And coming across, number 25, Camilo Valley. He dropped it, knocked it down at about the 35, 40-yard line. Watch Valley come across, number 25, out of the secondary.
Morel dropped the ball there, and he almost tripped trying to pick it up again. Turned around, recovered in time to throw it, but by that time it was too late in trying to get it out to his offensive end there. That was Armstrong. He was covered, and of course the down is now down to the 4th. It's in 21, and I suppose they'll probably putt with 34 seconds to play.
4th down, still 21 yards to go, and they talk it over on the sideline. And Gordon Gillespie is talking. He's not talking about strategy right now. He's talking about why that shift on the punt was ruled illegal and cost him 5 yards earlier. Coaches have long memories, Floyd.
They certainly do.
And any chance they get to discuss a particular event that may have happened earlier in the ball game, they're going to use it. Now he's going to talk a little strategy with his quarterback. It has been a hard-hitting football game. Long plays have been the difference so far. An 81-yard run by Scott Kinsella. And Joe Marini looking on from the sideline and talking to his defensive people. And Gordon Gillespie walking back after discussing it with Mark Morel, his quarterback. A 4th down play, 21 yards to go, 34 seconds to play in this first half. They line up and see if they will go into the shift again into punt formation. They go for the straight snap as they ran a man in motion. Sort of a quick kick type of routine is going to carry in to the end zone. You might expect that on a 3rd down type of situation when you're in a jam and make the straight snap and use a quick kick sort of thing. But they used it on the 4th down play and got a good punt out of it, although it carried into the end zone, 37 yards. So on the 20-yard line after the touchback, with 27 seconds to play, LaSalle-Peru takes over. And the officials call for a timeout on themselves here for a moment. They're ready to go. Get the ball placed. OSTROWSKI will try to get something done here in the remaining 27 seconds, perhaps. Bray and Gilespie are the running backs behind him. Sarver is the wide man to the left side. Off to Pete Bray, the fullback, slanting to the right. Got very little, if anything. May have gotten it just beyond to about the 21-yard line, but really not much more for him to pick up on the stop. for Joliet Catholic, Dean Morelli, number 67. The clock counting down to 10 seconds to play, and inside 10 now as we move down toward the end of this first half in the 4A championship game on a good, cool, fresh Saturday afternoon here at Illinois State University. And there's the horn ending the first half as Joliet Catholic trots off with a 14-0 lead over LaSalle-Peru in this 4A championship game. We'll remind you again before we break for our halftime activities and the recap and everything that tonight at 7 o'clock, St. Rita of Chicago will battle Buffalo Grove in the 5A championship game. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock with the story of that ball game. It's been a good first half of football, and a little defensive lapse on a halfback option play was costly to LaSalle-Peru. But Joliet Catholic, on the other hand, broke a long run, which is a bit of a surprise because they're two good defensive football teams, and KINSELLA just found a little seam coming to the right side and was able to break it upfield and score. So we'll have a recap for you after a bit and tell you more about it. Now we're going to switch to Tournament Central.
Thank you, Bob. Next in sight is a summary on that first half, and then we'll have a couple of special features planned for you during the halftime intermission. Our coverage will continue right after this.
We've seen a very good first half of football in this 4A championship game, and really not too much to choose between the two at this particular point, in spite of the fact that Joliet Catholic is leading 14-0. They scored. It was a scoreless first quarter, and then they scored in the second quarter with about 8 minutes and 57 seconds to play in the second quarter. Scott KINSELLA, the fullback for Joliet Catholic, took a pitch, came to the right side, and once he cleared the line of scrimmage, appeared to catch the defensive secondary a bit out of position, got some good blocking on the play as well, went 81 yards for the touchdown. They tried for the two-point conversion. It was not good, and Joliet Catholic led by a score of 6-0. They came back right on after the ensuing kickoff, recovered a fumble on the kickoff, and took it in as John Carrio came in and threw a halfback option pass to Tom Pondle. It was good for 33 yards and a touchdown. The point after try this time for the two-point conversion was good, and Joliet Catholic held a 14-0 lead. Aside from those two particular plays, not too much to choose between the two. They've played good defense. They've gone sideline to sideline at each other, and that is what you like to see. The good pursuit, carrying out the play, and really very little to choose between the two at this point in spite of the fact that Joliet Catholic is leading by a score of 14-0. The leading rusher is Scott KINSELLA for Joliet Catholic, 5 carries and 91 yards unofficially. In passing, it is 3 out of 9 for Morel, 29 yards. He's had 1 intercepted. And for the other side of the ledger, it has just been pretty much an even battle. Good defense. There have been mistakes on both sides. There have been some interceptions, some fumbles recovered by both sides. So we look for a good second half, and really, I would imagine, probably not too many adjustments made on the part of LaSalle-Peru because the things they have done best have gotten them here to begin with. They've beaten some good clubs to get into this 4A championship game against Joliet Catholic, and they showed good tenacity. Even though they found themselves in a hole once in a while, they forced some mistakes on the part of Joliet Catholic and were able to sustain a drive a couple of times and pick up some yardage. So we'll see a good second half of football in this 4A championship game when we start with the second half. Now, that's about all we have for the halftime right now, but a little later on in our intermission, we'll have some videotape highlights on the outstanding plays in the first 2 periods of play. Meanwhile, our coverage will continue right after this.
We're at halftime in the Class 4A Illinois High School Association Football Championship Playoff, and we're going to take a look at the LaSalle-Peru Township High School Marching Band here in Hancock Stadium. Now, here's Mike.
If you're accustomed to watching Illinois high school football championships, you might be surprised to see someone without an overcoat on. But today is really a lovely day for football. And, of course, the halftime is a big part of any game with the bands and the cheerleaders and everything. So let's take a look at one of the bands, the LaSalle-Peru High School Marching Band, which is on the field right now. might mention that the LaSalle-Peru Township High School Band has 80 members and have played at halftime at Chicago Bear games and 22 consecutive first-place superior performances at IHSA band competition. And now we have a chance to meet the LaSalle-Peru cheerleaders. And the first one, of course, in line is not a cheerleader, but the Cavalier mascot. And what is your name, dear, and what class are you in?
Lori Mueller, and I'm a junior.
And you're a junior. And okay, and let's take the cheerleaders now, and you girls look awfully nice in these uniforms. What, do you have some new uniforms?
Yes, we got them just in time for the playoffs.
Just for the championship game. And what is your name?
Liza Hughes, and I'm a senior. Hi, I'm Mary Jane.
Then you've been here before.
Yeah, I came here last year. My boyfriend played on the team.
Did you make sure Mary Jane heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
And what's your name? Hi.
My name's Pat Rathbun, and I'm a senior.
And you've been here before.
Oh, yeah, last year. And number 51 is my boyfriend. He's going to go get him.
You think you can come back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And what's your name?
Sue Trumpeter, and I'm a senior, too.
Okay. We're going to have to move a little fast so we can get back to the band.
Hello, my name's Jean McCallum, and I'm a senior.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. Looks like you're having fun.
You bet. Hi,
What's your name?
Karen Barnett.
Okay, Karen. And what is your name, dear?
Jody Foster,
Jerry Foster, what class are you in?
junior.
Okay.
Rose Half, and I'm a junior.
Are you having fun?
Oh, yeah, I'm having a riot.
Okay, great. Hi. What's your name, dear?
Kate Sampson.
And you're prepared for the cold weather if it comes.
I'm cold.
Okay. And a different colored scarf. And what is your name?
Greta Albert.
And what class are you in?
Pardon?
What class are you in?
I'm a junior.
Junior? Okay. And finally, with a different colored scarf again, what is your name?
Lori Nicholson. I'm a junior.
Well, nice to see you, Laurie, and good luck in the second half. Okay, let's go back on the field to watch the LaSalle-Peru band a little more. Okay, we're going to have more band music and the other band of the 4A championship game right after this message. Okay, and now we're going to have the other band on the field, the Joliet Catholic St. Francis Marching Band, and their director, Kathy Murray, drum majorette Kathy Foster, 45 players in the Joliet Catholic Band, 16 pom-pom girls that are on the field right now, and a 6-member color guard. Okay, and now we have a chance to meet the Joliet Catholic St. Francis cheerleaders, and what a nice bunch of good-looking girls. And you girls have all been here before. You're veterans, aren't you?
Yes, we are. The past 3 years.
Past 3 years, and I'd like to know your name and what happened to your eye. I wonder if we can get that black eye on TV.
I'm Kathy Krause, and I was in a car accident last Saturday with 2 other girls.
Well, would you like to say hello to those girls? They're not here, are they?
Yeah. I'm ready, guys. Come here. Ready? Come here, you guys. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Sally. Hi, Karen.
Oh, you don't know what you did to my ear. Okay, let's try and meet all the girls here. Let's get everybody's name here.
I'm Sue Ellens, Jr.
Okay.
Tina Lauterbach, Jr. Michelle Nagel, junior.
Okay, you girls might be back again.
Mary Beard, I'm senior.
And?
Sarah Hickey, junior.
Hi, Sarah. And your name?
Vicky Placey, I'm a junior.
Okay, Vicky. Now, why don't you girls let the JVs through here so we can meet all of them, too? Now, this is the junior varsity squad, and what is your name?
I'm Jill Kipp, sophomore.
And?
Eileen Oaks, sophomore.
Hi, Eileen.
Alan Perry, sophomore.
All right.
Laura Berkey, sophomore.
Nice to meet you, Nora.
Sandy Stevens, freshman.
Hi, Sandy. And?
Jane Hodek, freshman.
Jane, and is that everybody? Did we get? Oh, come on. What is your
Shirley, sophomore.
Okay. And this is it, the Joliet Catholic cheerleaders. And I know you girls are having fun as you have every year. Do you think the team's going to hold up?
For sure.
Okay, let's go back to the Joliet Catholic St. Francis Marching Band. Okay, we know everybody's having fun down here during halftime on the sidelines. Now let's go back up to Tournament Central.
Thank you, Mike. In case you just joined us, we're between halves in the Class 4A Illinois High School Association Football Championship game. Our coverage from Hancock Stadium in Normal, Illinois will continue after this.
Checking over the first half statistics that we have for you. The score 14-0 with Joliet Catholic out in front of LaSalle-Peru. First downs 5-2. Joliet Catholic with 5 and LaSalle-Peru with 2 first downs. The net yards rushing, and a lot of this by that big 81-yard run by Scott Kinsella. 121 yards on the ground, net rushing for Joliet Catholic, 23 for LaSalle-Peru. In the passing department, 28 for Joliet Catholic and 7 yards passing for LaSalle-Peru. Total yards 149-30 in favor of Joliet Catholic. The pass attempts, 3 out of 8 for Joliet Catholic, 1 interception. 1 out of 3 for LaSalle-Peru, 1 interception. 3 punts for LaSalle-Peru, 25-yard average. 2 punts for Joliet Catholic, a 39-yard average. And LaSalle-Peru has lost a couple of fumbles. Joliet Catholic has lost 1. And LaSalle-Peru has been penalized 5 yards and 25 yards in penalties against Joliet Catholic. And we'll check over some of the individual stats for you when we get back into the second half. Joliet Catholic will come back onto the field very shortly. LaSalle-Peru coming back on across the way. We've had a good first half of football, 14-0. Joliet Catholic leading in this 4A championship game. And so we expect a good second half of play. We'll take a quick look at some of the videotape highlights of this first half. Armstrong is wide to the right side. Morel pitching back. Good opening.
Look at that.
35, and there they go. On the carry, Scott Kinsella, the fullback, and he's going to go all the way for the touchdown. That'll be 81 yards.
Tom Thayer, and he's a 235-pounder, number 72.
Ron Nagel is wide to the left and back to throw on the halfback option to Armstrong, who's wide open and has it for the touchdown. Reminder again about tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll be back on the air with the St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove game. That is for the 5A championship, and we hope you will join us for the telecast here tonight. 7 o'clock, we'll be on the air with the story of that game, and that will wrap up this year's 1978 football championships for the Illinois State High School Association. And it's been a phenomenal day so far, and yesterday with 3 games and some outstanding play on the part of everybody that has participated, and you expect that when you get to the championship level and vying for a state championship in your respective classification. So tonight at 7, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove will wind things up. Mike Pyle, Floyd Brown, any comments before we head into this second half? Maybe a little strategy on the part of both of you gentlemen as to what might happen here.
Well, I would like to offer this conjecture. And Marini, of course, an excellent coach, and he's real headsy. And he says the fellows are not awed by the record of the Hilltoppers that they're playing with, but they've got to be thinking twice after going into the dressing room, 2 touchdowns down, but they haven't had an opportunity to get into their game plan and really make their offense work. So I don't think we're going to see too much of a change in the strategy on these 2 teams. But I think he says we're going to have to execute better, and this is what we can look forward to, some real tough, hard-hitting football.
I have a tendency to agree with you, Floyd.
but it may be that MARINI's going to have to try some things because Joliet has been stopping them pretty well. He may have to try something different, take a chance.
Back to receive is Ron Nagel. He has it at the 20, 25 to the 30, and is finally going to be spun down around the 33-yard line. The kickoff man was Bob Wendy for LaSalle-Peru. A 13-yard return by Ron Nagel. Number 40 for Joliet Catholic. They get their hands on the ball first as we start the second half of play. The ball resting between the 32 and the 33. So we will see what sort of changes might be made on the part of Joe Marini and the LaSalle-Peru Cavaliers, who are trailing right now 14-0. Mark Morel is the quarterback. They give off to Matichak. He slants to the left side, squirming free, gets across the 35 to around the 37-yard line. Herb Reese is number 30, coming off the bottom of the pile, and number 51, Greg Ratajczak. And both have been in on a lot of action here this afternoon for LaSalle-Peru. Gain of about 4 yards. It'll be second down, about 6 yards to go. They're in the power eyes. They come out double tight end set. See the defense moving around to compensate for that. Off to Matichak again. To the 40, to the 45, carrying tacklers to the 50-yard line. Don Haas, number 44, was riding him and literally riding him to around the 50-yard line. Number 24 is Brian Sarver.
Let's take a look at the pitch out to Matichak here. It's that off-tackle play going around their big tackle, Tom Thayer. Pretty nice blocking in there by Scott Kinsella, giving Matichak an extra running room.
Dave Matichak on the carry, 13 yards, a first down. Inside give to Nagel. Nagel pops to around the 45 to about the 43. Very quick opener. Coming right back up the middle, Brian Sarver, number 24 on the play. And number 77 is Dennis Putoff.
Let's take a look at it. Ron Nagel, right up the middle, big hole.
Tough, hard-hitting football.
Yes, it is.
They picked up 7 quick ones, second down and 3 at the 43 of LaSalle-Peru. Double tight end set again with that power eye. The tailback is Matichak, has the first down inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line.
Let's take a look at this from the end zone on field level. You see the hole open up there on the reverse pivot by the quarterback. Handoff to Matichak and up the middle with a big hole.
First down at the 37-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. Power eye. And a whistle on the play before they get things started, and apparently an encroachment on the part of the offensive team. They patted number 74 on the helmet. That was Ken Tussey, who's 6'4", 245.
That's all you do is pat him on the helmet when they're that big.
and first say, may I?
Yeah.
Penalty against them for 5, moving it back to the 42-yard line. Becomes first and 15. Procedure call is against Joliet Catholic. A first down and 15 at the 42 of LaSalle-Peru. 4A championship game, double tight end set. The counter to the wingback, and that is Matichak. And good defensive play this time, shuts him down. 75 and 77. 75 is Jeff Ostrowski, and 77 is Dennis Putoff. Two of the defensive tackles, they made the play for no gain. Second down and 15 now for Joliet Catholic. Matichak, 4 carries, 24 yards here in this third quarter. Mark Morel is the quarterback. He's been in there all afternoon. He's number 12, engineering this Joliet Catholic offense. They go with the pro set this time. And they pitch off this time to the fullback, coming over to the right side, gets to about the 35-yard line. Scott Kinsella, who had broken one earlier in the game for 81 yards, finally ridden down around the 35. Reese again coming out to help out, along with Greg Ratajczak.
Good play call on that, Bob. They've been using power football, going to the strong side. That time from the pro set, letting the halfback be the lead blocker, coming back to the weak side. A good change-up, and as you see, well, not much of a gain, but nice play call.
Picked up about 7 yards on the play, 6 or 7. It's near the 35. Still have a third down and better than 8. Up the middle to Matichak on the draw, and Matichak is near the 25-yard line, and he picks up the first down yardage.
Let's take a look at Dave Matichak again. Great running back. Quick opener, as you pointed out, Bob. Ran behind the defender on the quick opening play.
We have an injured player for LaSalle-Peru down on the field. As they look over him, he was in on the tackle. It'll be a first down for Joliet Catholic at the 26-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. They needed about 8.5. They got about 9 yards on the play. Floyd?
Something kind of interesting happening on the sideline down here, Bob, while they're taking time out for the injured player. Mike Pesavento, he's number 10, and number 14, Joe Fitzgerald, are along the sideline. And as you know, the coach, Gordon Gillespie of the Joliet Hilltoppers, gives signals to his players from the sideline to tell them the next play. Now, these two fellows are transmitting signs, and they almost do it like twins. Maybe we can catch it a little later.
Bob Wendy was the injured player for LaSalle-Peru. Matichak again inside the 25 to about the 21-22. Wrapped up by Dennis Potoff, number 77 for LaSalle-Peru. Gain of about 5 yards, however, to the 21-yard line, bringing up second down and 5, and Joliet Catholic.
There's the coach. You can't see there's 14. You'll see him, and the other fellow, they're small. They're both underclassmen. They are juniors.
Does the hat designate them as assistant coaches?
I think so.
Out of the power eye, off to Matichak again, inside the 20. Squirts out to the 15, still on his feet and banged out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. Finally getting him was Camilo Valley. Rode him out about the 10. I thought they had Matichak wrapped up for a moment, but David slipped to the outside and got it down to near the 10-yard line. Good second effort.
Let's look at Dave Matichak again. He's only 5'9", 175 pounds, but look how hard he runs.
Tell you, when he gets his hands on the football, it's an insult
A lot of
if
people
you bring him down.
That's right. That's right. He's not going down easy.
It is first down, just shy of the 10-yard line for Joliet Catholic. In their version of the power eye, the quick pop intended for Kinsella coming up the middle, and Scott is hit for a loss of a yard, maybe 2. Dennis Potoff again was the man who was in on the stop, number 77, helped out by Jeff Ostrowski. They are two good-sized tackles. Ostrowski is 260. Potoff is 230. Playing in the defensive line for LaSalle-Peru. They lost about 1.5 yards. Second down, about 12 yards to go. Double tight end set. To the tailback, Matichak to the 10, inside the 10, and to about the 8-yard line before he is brought down.
There's Matichak helping one of the defenders up. Here it is. Look at the blocking here. Look at Scott Kinsella, his fullback, leading him.
On the tackle was number 64, Steve Munson. 17-year-old senior, 195-pounder. They have a timeout down on the field. In this third quarter, the score is Joliet Catholic 14, LaSalle-Peru nothing, and our coverage of the state high school football championships will continue after this. Hello. It is at the 8-yard line. Third down and about 7 yards to go for Joliet Catholic. At the 8-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. Nagel is going wide to the left side. They split off a wide man to the right and Pondle and give back to Scott Kinsella, stacked up and hit hard on a good defensive play. And the first fellow to make contact coming up from the secondary was taking a little bit the worst of it, Rich Serafini. But he stood him up and let the pursuit come in and help out.
Let's take a look at it. There's Scott Kinsella, the big fullback, and boom, he hits him in the background. However, he needed a little help.
You know, an interesting statistic, so far in the game, he lost a little bit there, I suppose, but he had 104 yards, and the record is 143, so he does have a chance at the record, and Scott is an honor roll student, incidentally.
All right, to the left side, off to Matichak. Looks like he wants to throw. Now throws it back and unloads it. The man he was throwing it toward, that is going to be a lateral, and somebody had best to get on it. It is finally picked up and taken down to about the 13-yard line. It was going to be ruled a lateral. Finally, it was Tom Pondle picking it up. Watch this again now, because he unloads. There's a tackle there, Mike.
Yes, it's a tackle, and of course that'd be an illegal pass if it was forward. But it's back. It's a lateral. He threw it over the lineman's head. Now, if we could only see it, Coach Gordie Gillespie, boy, he's telling everybody on that team, get over here and get on that football. He actually let them know that it was a fumble instead of a forward pass, and to get back on that football.
I don't see his assistants beside him there.
Well,
oh, here they come. They're coming up the sideline there. Maybe he had to consult with somebody else.
I was kidding about those hats. I'm sure that's just a way to designate those two players to be watched by the players on the field for the signals. Those hats signals them out from the rest of the players.
Sure.
They are going to have a field goal opportunity, it appears, if they would like to try for the field goal. They have a 4th down and 9 situation at the 9-yard line.
Bob, wasn't that last play 4th down?
Well, I thought it was 4th down, but I don't think so. Now they're changed. Now they're going to change it back around.
Yeah, they're showing.
No, they're going to show the field goal team back on there. That was a 3rd and 9 situation.
Well, the scoreboard is fooled as well, so you're not alone in this.
Joe Marini doesn't believe it.
Well, they're griping about it on the far sideline, but they're going to get a chance for the field goal marked at the 18-yard line. And to give it a try is Joe Fitzgerald. The snap back. Fitzgerald's kick is long enough. It is high enough, and it is good enough.
And that is the first field goal in 4A competition in state championship play. So he goes into the record books with that kick.
Joe Fitzgerald is the man who hits it from 28 yards out.
There we have the replay of the kick by Joe Fitzgerald. Split the uprights. As Floyd said, first field goal in 4A play, and who else would you expect to do it but Joliet Catholic? Of course, they're in every one of the games.
You know, a little bit earlier, I kept saying Buffalo Grove. I do want to create an analogy, and I'll do it for you a little later on. But, Mike, I think you have something.
Well, if we have time, we'd like you to know the sponsors are happy to be able to bring you these championship high school football games on television. And they'd like to hear from you about our coverage. Your thoughts and comments will prove helpful in the future. Just drop us a card or letter, and I'll give you the address in a moment.
On the kickoff return, Mike Gillespie brings it out to about the 30-yard line. 17-0 lead now. Return of 15 yards. Joliet Catholic getting on the board with the 28-yard field goal by Joe Fitzgerald. 17-0.
Bob, let me give our listeners and viewers the address if they'd like to drop us a card or letter, and that's Right to Football, Box 95, Chicago, Illinois, 60690. That's Football, Box 95, Chicago, Illinois, 60690.
6:15 to play in this 3rd period, and they give off to Pete Bray, the fullback, and he rambles and loses the ball at about the 32-yard line, and there's a pile-up, and let's see whether they were able to maintain possession or not. Bray with the slant off the left side.
Let's take a look at it. Pete Bray, not much of a hole. That Joliet Catholic defense awfully strong. Brought down that time by middle linebacker John Piazza, who you talk about the fellows with brains on that Joliet Catholic team. John Piazza, 3-time All-Staters, only number 3 in his class.
Got to work on his books. 2nd down and about 8. Ostrowski trying to throw and aiming up the right side. It was intended for John DiCarlo, but a bit overthrown around the midfield mark. And they will have a 3rd down and still 9 to go. Back around their own 33-yard line.
I was talking a bit earlier, and I said Buffalo Grove, and I'll tell you what the analogy is. They are a 100% two-platoon team, and I asked him about this Hilltopper team from Joliet, and he was saying that he believes in it simply because you can spend more time on each division of the game, offense and defense. And look at the precision here.
3rd down, 9 set up and pitch to the tailback. Lipchinski to the 35. Pretty good run down to about the 38. He will be short of the 1st down. Up from the secondary to put the clincher on him was number 11, Tim Tyrell. 6-footer, 160-pound senior defensive back. They will mark the ball at about the 38-yard line, near the 38. 4th down play, 4th and about 3. And LaSalle-Peru will be forced to give it up again on a punting situation as Tyrell will go back, and he will be joined in double safety by Paul Carberry, a 5'11", 180-pound senior from Joliet Catholic.
The other side of the coin is Marini. Joe Marini says, I want my best players on the field at all times.
Good kick. Nice spiral coming down. Taken by Tim Tyrell at the 31. Hit at the 31. Down at the 31. Good punt coverage by LaSalle-Peru. Very good punt coverage. Down in a hurry was Herb Reese, number 30, to make first contact. Also helping him out on the play was Chuck Alvarado, number 13. So it'll be Joliet Catholic taking over on their own 31-yard line. They lead 17-0. They've had an 81-yard run. They've had a 33-yard halfback option pass for a score and a 28-yard field goal by Joe Fitzgerald for their 17 points here this afternoon with 4:50 to play in the third period. Mark Morel is the quarterback. Double tight end set in the power I. They almost missed the handoff and do. Morel has to keep and tuck it and go, and he winds up picking up a couple of yards trying to sneak out the right side. They've done that at least 3 or 4 times today, Mike. They have mishandled a couple of handoffs, whether the back is getting there too quickly or Morel is slightly late, but they're just missing connections in there.
Yes, and Bob, I'd like to clarify that 4th down situation a little earlier down at the other end of the field. The call, the judgment by the officials was that there was an inadvertent whistle on the play, and instead of taking it from the point of the inadvertent whistle, they ran the play over again, so they had another 4th down situation.
The give to Dave Matichak, and he is across the 35 to around the 38-yard line, wedging his way out. Herb Reese from a linebacking spot, number 30 and number 51. For LaSalle-Peru, Greg Ratajczak in on the stop, and Matichak has a cramp. That's what they're working on. He has a cramp. Ron Nagel is trying to straighten it out. It's a cramp in his calf, and he was driving in there. Those really hurt. They don't do any damage, but they sure hurt.
No, and they can hurt enough when a player's working as much as Dave Matichak does, and he was the leading carrier in the first half, and he's been the leading carrier in this half. The result of a cramp like that can be that he's actually tied up for a few plays. You see, he is coming out of the game. But, you know, we've all had cramps. They go away pretty fast. But with the physical strain on his body, it may take a little while for that cramp to work out.
It's at 86 yards for the ball game. So Dave comes out and he'll sit out a play, or maybe 2. They send Ron Nagel wide to the right side. Pondel is the man to the right side, and to the left was Nagel. They give up the middle. Straight ahead dive play. Kinsella across the 40 to around the 41, 42, 43-yard line. Ostrowski on the stop. Jeff Ostrowski, big defensive tackle at the 43-yard line. First down pickup for Joliet Catholic. Time winding down here in the third period with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to play. Tom Pondel again to the right, and Nagel goes wide to the left. To the fullback, Scott Kinsella across the 45 to about the 46-yard line. They unpile.
And Dave Matichak is back in the football game, only out 1 play. And on this play, number 82, Bob Wendy, their outstanding defensive end, is down. He's going out with some sort of injury.
So that'll bring in Camilo Valley to play in that position, apparently. Number 25 has come in there as Bob Wendy leaves the field for a moment. Second down, about 7 to go from the 46. And off to the tailback. Nagel spinning his way across the 50 and down to about the 47-yard line in LaSalle-Peru territory. And number 77 is Dennis Potoff, and he's the fellow who wrapped him up and dropped him, but he picked up the first down yardage.
Here's Ron Nagel on the handoff. Runs into a little problem, steps outside, follows his blocking well, and you just have to say that the Joliet Catholic team is an awesome football team. And look at we've talked about Matichak, we've talked about Kinsella, the way they carry the football. Ron Nagel, not a bad ball carrier. Can go equally to any one of those 3 backs.
Pitch off to Matichak. It's a block, but not a good enough one, and a good defensive play made by the defensive right side. Coming up to make the play was Rich Serafini, number 22. He was blocked off the play and still got a hand on it. Was able to shut him down after a gain of a couple of yards inside the 45 to about the 44-yard line. A gain of close to 3. Second down, about 7 yards to go for Joliet Catholic. The Hilltoppers break out. Wide left, Nagel. To the right side is Pondel. The pitch to Kinsella. Hit behind the line. Dropped at the 44-yard line. And again, a good defensive play made by number 51, Greg Ratajczak. He is 6'1", 195.
That's a linebacker, Greg Ratajczak. Now we see him coming in, getting into that backfield. Deep penetration. Joe Marina told me earlier before the ball game that he usually plays a hit-and-read type defense with his 4-3, the inverted linebackers, hit and read. But he said, I might have to use a penetrating defense today with this running attack at Joliet Catholic, and that was a good example of penetrating, getting into the backfield to break up a play.
3rd down 8. And they give off up the left side, and that is Kinsella. And Kinsella gets it to about the 40-yard line. He will be short of a first down. They will mark it just shy of the 40-yard line with 50 seconds and counting inside the 50-second mark now here in the 3rd period. 17-0 Joliet Catholic lead. 4th down, still about 4 yards to go.
We've just gotten word from the truck that Michigan is going to represent the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl. They defeated Ohio State today, 14-3.
The pitch to Matichak, wants the left side, and he's going to pick up the first down to the 35 on a good cut, cutting back in, and gets to around the 33, 34-yard line. Just tripped up, but was able to pick up the first down for Joliet Catholic.
Let's watch this play. The guard pulling, and Kinsella in front. And there's the block by that off guard on the pull, and that was number 62, Bob Chase, 5'10", 185 pounds, leading that play from the guard position.
So Joliet Catholic maintains possession. Only about 8 seconds left in the first half. Off to Kinsella. The fullback bangs up the middle to the 25-yard line.
That ball popped out.
Let's see if there was a fumble on the play or whether it was blown dead at the 25-yard line. He picked up about 9 yards on the carry as the quarter comes to an end. Apparently no fumble on the play. It'll be a 2nd down and 1 when play resumes in the 4th and final period. You can take a look at the play again.
Let's see if I was right. There's the ball popping out right there. And it must have been called a dead ball, but it was out there.
We are at the end of the 3rd quarter with the score, Joliet Catholic 17 and LaSalle-Peru nothing. And our coverage of the State High School Football Championship will continue after this. Tonight at 7 o'clock, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove will play for the 5A championship. Hope you'll join us for the telecast that will wrap up this 2-day IHSA football tournament. We've seen some outstanding play in the 3 games yesterday and here this afternoon, and expect another one tonight. They'll be dressed just about like that this evening on a cool evening. The give comes off here to Dave Matichak. Slanting to the left side, gets to the 25-yard line of LaSalle-Peru and picks up the first down. They needed only a yard, and he picked up the first down plus a few yards as they were able to shut him down about the 20-yard line. But it's first down for Joliet Catholic at the 20 of LaSalle-Peru.
That puts Matichak at about 95 yards on the ground. Kinsella only needs now 23 yards to tie the record for ground gaining. He has 121 yards.
They have Matichak wide to the right this time. They give off to Ron Nagel. He kind of fields his way and picks up 5 yards, followed his blocking, came into the seam in good shape and picked up about 5 before he was stopped. Reese was on the tackle, coming up again. Number 51, Greg Ratajczak, to get in on the action. They got it inside the 15-yard line to about the 14, near the 14, 2nd down. And a rather short 5 yards for them to go. Call it 2nd and 4. Nagel is the flanker to the left side now. To Matichak, good hit. Good hit as they dropped him right on the spot. That is Bob Windy, number 82, who was back in there, and he stacked him up for a loss of at least a yard, if not 2-yard loss.
Let's take a look at this one. There's Matichak and Windy right there. Good penetration. Now, he's the off man. They might not have had a blocker on him, but with Windy, they better keep somebody on him all the time because he sure got into that play in a hurry.
3rd down. 6 yards to go from just shy of the 16-yard line, and Joliet Catholic has called for a timeout as you see Mark Morel trot to the sideline and talk it over with Gordon Gillespie. So we're in the 4th quarter here in this 4A championship game. The score, Joliet Catholic 17, LaSalle-Peru nothing, and our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this. Tonight, 7 o'clock, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove. Join us for the telecast. We have a 3rd down and 6 situation now facing Joliet Catholic. It may be a little chilly, but, oh, now there's the way to go to the ball game. Bring the puppy dog along, wrap him up in good shape, let him enjoy.
Lots of fans, all fans.
Nagel is wide to the left side. Fake to the fullback, pitch to Matichak.
Nice
at the 15, cuts in to around the 10 and down at the 10-yard line. Good defensive play in spite of the pitch coming out was number 51 to make the stop, Greg Matichak. But the play was made by the man coming up to shut it down, and that was Rich Serafini, number 22, who prevented it from going any farther wide.
Let's take a look. There's Dave Matichak, and you see his big tackle. There he is in the top of the picture. Ken Tussey out there trying to get a block. There's Tussey getting a block. Matichak gone. Now, I got to tell you about Ken Tussey. We've said he's 245 pounds. You see him pulling out. He wears a size 16 Triple E shoe.
Here's Scott Kinsella inside the 5, down to near the 2-yard line on a straight power play, a straight dive over the left side. Got it down inside the 5. Coming up from the secondary to make the stop was Don Haas, number 44. Scott Kinsella on the carry.
Here's Kinsella. Straight ahead, right up the middle. Good blocking. Ron Nagel out in front of him. He went clean through the hole, and so did Kinsella. Does that mean a size 16 Triple E that he isn't finished growing?
I hope not. Brian Sarver was in on the play as well, and Ron Nagel goes over the left side near the goal line. Did he get the penetration? He did not. They stopped him shy of the goal line, but only inches shy of the goal line. Herb Reese is number 30, getting off the bottom of the pile. That helps stack him up.
Let's take a look and see how close he does get on that play. There's Nagel. And the officials made a good call. He is down before getting over that goal line.
Joliet Catholic with a second down and goal to go, just inches away from a touchdown. To Kinsella, hit and powers his way in for the score. He was hit, almost stood him up, powered his way in. Herb Reese made the stop, but just couldn't get enough help to drive him back.
Here, let's take a look at it. Kinsella doing all the work himself. He's into the end zone. Of course, Herb Reese, the man trying to bring him down. It's only 160 pounds. Kinsella, 185.
Point after try, they're going to fake it and run it or throw it for the extra point, for the 2-point extra point, and it is complete. Tom Pondell took it on the pass. The intended kicker was Joe Fitzgerald, but he took it. They made the fake, went for the 2-point conversion with 9:04 to play in this ball game. We're in the 4th quarter. The score now, Joliet Catholic 25, LaSalle-Peru nothing. And our coverage of the State High School Football Championships will continue after this.
And here's the touchdown play again. Scott Kinsella going in for the touchdown. And let's take a look at the direct snap on the extra point. Direct snap to the kicker, who is the backup quarterback, Joe Fitzgerald. Joe Fitzgerald runs out, and Tom Pondell is in the end zone all by himself.
So we get set for the Joliet Catholic kickoff. And here it comes. And it is Thayer kicking on the angle. Catching it is number 13, Chuck Alvarado, and he is hit after a very, very short return, and coming down on the kickoff coverage, Mark Mazzaros, 5'8", 180, 16-pound junior, 16-year-old junior. Return of 7 yards. LaSalle-Peru takes over in tough field position again for them, down by a score of 25-0. It's at the 27-yard line as LaSalle-Peru will take over. We have 8 minutes, 54 seconds to play in this 4A championship game. Brian Sarver goes wide to the left side. Greg OSTROWSKI brings them out of there. In a situation where he has to unload, and it is just broken up at the last moment. It was intended on the right side for Chuck Conde, tight end, 6-footer, 165-pound senior for LaSalle-Peru. And getting out there to break it up, pretty good coverage by Joe Kamarauskas.
You think they don't like their football players down at Joliet? The #1 man in the class of 188 is Paul Carberry, and he's the president of the student body. John Piazza was the president, however, of the freshman, sophomore, and junior year. They dominate everywhere.
Again, OSTROWSKI wanting to throw. Throwing deep for Conde if he can get to it. It's there, and it's just off his fingertips, over his reach at the 30-yard line.
There's Conde. Here's the throw. OSTROWSKI on that long pass to Chuck Conde. He's open just over his outstretched fingertips. And, Bob, I think you want to comment. There's a flag down on the play.
There is, and the penalty's going to go against Joliet Catholic, and that gets LaSalle-Peru out of a bit of a hole out to the 42-yard line. A 15-yard walk-off, personal foul roughing the passer. Ostrowski threw a good ball that time. Condian got down. He had cleared behind the secondary by a step or so. The ball was just out of his reach. Wide to the left side, John DiCarlo. They go with the slot with SARVER in the slot to the left. That is off to DiCarlo to the 45-yard line. They picked up about 3 yards to the 45. Ridden out on the far side by Tim Tyrell. Also helping out, drifting out on the coverage was number 66, and that's Joe Camaruska. Joe Marini down in the last 8 minutes and 10 seconds of this game trying to get some information into his players and get something on the board.
Joe has his son down with him as well as his dad down for the game today.
They have a second down and about 6 to go just outside the 45 slot right this time. Ostrowski wants to keep, ducks his head, picks up a couple to around the 48-yard line. They will still be short of a first down. Knifing underneath and coming up on the play, John Piazza, number 53, the linebacker, 6'2" and 185. They mark it just shy of the 48-yard line. Third down and a rather long 4 to go for LaSalle-Peru at this point. Coming out wide to the right side is John Madonna, the 5'9" flanker, double tight end set otherwise. To the tailback, Lebzinski, and he's going to lose ground. All the way back to the 42, 43-yard line. He just had no chance at all to turn the corner. Tyrell coming up from the secondary, and the lead tackler on the play was Dan Wilson, number 50, a linebacker, 17-year-old senior.
Don Wilson, great penetration.
How he protects the football.
Deep in the backfield.
They've been tackling the ball all afternoon, and obviously Joe Marini has schooled them very well in trying to protect that ball. These Hilltoppers are just well schooled, and they really try to strip the ball when they tackle.
4th down and 7. They're going to go for it. Ostrowski wants to throw and fires deep up the left side for SARVER, and he can't handle it at the 22-yard line. Brian SARVER was the man who was open up the side, and he was indeed there, but just couldn't hang on.
Just not making it. I tell you, again, it was an excellent pass by Ostrowski. Deep back, drop back pass. You see him pump fake to the right, turn back, go to the left. Deep pass, and look at Brian SARVER all by himself. Oh, right through his hands. Awfully close, but not quite there. And, of course, it would be some kind of consolation for Joe Marini to get a score because no one has scored against Joliet in the playoffs this year.
Joliet Catholic takes over at the 44. They give on the quick pop up the middle for a couple of yards to about the 42-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. Not much more yardage to be gained on that. They knifed underneath at number 75. The defensive tackle, Jeff Ostrowski, was the fellow who stacked them up. Just a straight ahead pop. On the carry was John Cario. 5'10", 180. He's a junior, 17 years old. Mark Morel still running him at quarterback. Again up the middle, Cario. To the 40, to the 39-yard line. It'll be third down and about 4 yards to go. The defensive tackles have had a lot of play here this afternoon. Dennis Putoff, Jeff Ostrowski for LaSalle-Peru. The ball at the 40. Third down, about 4 yards to go. Double tight end set. To the tailback, trying to slip off the right, and again, a good defensive play by Jeff Ostrowski. He tracked down Jim Weinold, a 5'9", 168-pound senior running back. Stopped him for no gain at the 40-yard line. That brings up a 4th down and still 5 yards to go. So we have a new quarterback in Joe Fitzgerald. He's 5'10", 155. He is a junior. He's the fellow who threw the pass a moment ago for the 2-point extra point. Fitzgerald rolling out, wants to keep and go, and slips and falls. So they lose yardage back to around the 43, 44-yard line. Coming up to cover well on the play and perhaps would have been able to prevent any kind of advance was Rich Serafini, number 22. Fitzgerald gets a pat on the back from his coach, Gordon Gillespie. nice effort. Didn't quite turn out the way we wanted, but it was a good effort.
And Bobby had his entire backup backfield in there, the second stringers. But you know, Joliet Catholic doesn't lose too much because these fellas have played probably almost a half a football game all season.
So LaSalle-Peru takes over on their own 43 with 4 minutes and 45 seconds to play. Greg Ostrowski is the quarterback, fakes the give. Throwing deep. It is Condi, and couldn't handle it at the 20-yard line. Chuck Condi had gotten between the defenders, and the ball was there, and a fine throw by Greg Ostrowski. He's 6'2" and 165, his senior. Has a good arm and shows that he can deliver the football.
Greg Ostrowski throws a nice long pass. He's thrown 3 good ones. Let's take a look at it again. Greg Ostrowski, nice arm. Look at the release. And again, Chuck Condi in the open, the ball right there, and he can't hold on to it.
2nd and 10 for LaSalle-Peru. The Cavaliers come out. They send the reserve flanker, John Madonna, wide to the left side. Double tight end elsewhere. Into the middle, intended for Condi, or not for Condi, but for Bob Wendy. It ruled incomplete. He got tied up with the defensive man coming back, number 85, Jamie Piazza, and they got tied up in that, but there was no flag downfield. There is one back at the line of scrimmage. While they discuss that, let's pause 5 seconds for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, Television 9.
The penalty apparently is going to go against LaSalle-Peru on the passing play. Wendy had cut down into the middle. He got tangled up with Jamie Piazza. They both fell, but the long walk-off will go against LaSalle-Peru. Will move it back to the 25-yard line. With 4 minutes and 33 seconds to go, a holding call has put them back deep in their own territory, and they're now faced with a 2nd down. And let's see, 2nd down and about 28. Second and 28, slot left, Sarver in the slot. Ostrowski again trying to get room to throw, being rushed, being hit, and he will be sacked all the way back to around the 13-yard line. The pressure was on from the outside, and then it came from the inside, and coming inside to get a piece of him was Don Norek, 6'1", 190-pound senior tackle.
Let's take a look at Norek. Well, hit first there by Jim Robin. And these are all backup. He's got his entire second team in there, offense and defense. And, of course, look at their enthusiasm playing in that ball game for the first time. And, of course, you know, the LaSalle-Peru team a little tired. These are all backup men in there, and they're making it tough.
3rd down and 39. Ostrowski going deep up the right side for Sarver, who has again cleared and has it go off his fingertips. At the 45-yard line of Joliet Catholic, Sarver had just taken a pattern right up the sideline, a straight fly, and the ball was again just off his fingertips. It is 4th down and 39 for LaSalle-Peru. 3:46 to play in this game. Ostrowski has put the ball up well on the deep patterns. He has been very, very close.
Boy, he really has. He's thrown the football well, just inches away.
Pete Bray is back to do the punting. Mike Purviance is one of the deep men. Hangs it out, and it's going to be taken by number 24, and that is Dan Scholes. He has very little room in which to do anything with it. Be about the 42-yard line. Herb Reese, number 30, down on the punt coverage. Tonight at 7 o'clock, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove will be the final game of the state high school playoffs here in Illinois. 7 o'clock is broadcast time, telecast time. Mike Pyle and Floyd Brown and I will be with you for the description of that one. Hope you will join us for the telecast tonight as we wrap up this 1978 state football tournament. Fitzgerald is the quarterback, giving off to the tailback coming to the right side, and then is Jim Weinhold. Gets maybe a yard to around the 40-yard line, trying to slip off to the right side.
Bob, I guess we can say that Joliet Catholic's going to win their 4th consecutive 4A title. And, of course, the conversation that goes on around Joliet and even up in Chicago is, when's Joliet Catholic going into the 5A playoffs? And, you know, they've played some 5A teams. I won't tell you about it in a second.
2nd down and about 9. Fitzgerald with a pitch off to the tailback again. Weinhold gets a little room coming to the left side, gets to around the 37-yard line. Coming up on the stop, John DiCarlo, number 80, coming up to help out on the play and getting out to get in on it also. was Steve Munson, number 64. They'll mark it at about the 37 and leave Joliet Catholic with a 3rd down and 5 situation.
In the first game this season, Joliet Catholic played Richards, which is a 5A school. They beat Richards 20-8. Richards lost to St. Rita last weekend in the 5A semifinals.
Pitch off to another tailback, and then it's Tom Facinelli. He gets to about the 35, a gain of a couple of yards. It'll be now 4th down and still about 3 yards to go. Trying to get wide to the right side, coming over to help shut it down was Camilo Valley. So it's 4th down, still about 3 to go for Joliet Catholic, down to the 2-minute mark and inside that here in the 4th and final period, with Joliet Catholic leading 25-0. New quarterback in the game. The give to the fullback. The new quarterback is Mike Passavento, and carrying on the play was John Carrio. Got it down to about the 30 and picked up the 1st down. They needed 3. He got him about 4. So they maintain possession. Mike Passavento. He's a junior, 5'8", 155, wearing number 10. He's the quarterback. He is the 3rd quarterback. Fitzgerald had a little playing time in there as a quarterback, and now Passavento. 1st down at the 30. Give up the middle. The big fullback rambles across the 25 to around the 24. John Carrio, 5'10", 180.
Bob, 24 seniors on this Joliet Catholic team, and they were all freshmen. The last time Joliet Catholic lost a playoff game in the first state championship in 1974.
2nd down. 3 yards to go at the 24-yard line of LaSalle-Peru. A minute to play in this game. Passavento off to his tailback. Coming back on the inside, number 23 is Tom Facinelli. 5'9", 175. He is a senior. Gets it inside the 20 to about the 19-yard line.
Let me give the homecoming plans for the 2 teams in this 4A championship game. Joliet Catholic will depart Normal Bloomington immediately after the game, take Route 55 all the way, and the parade will start down Jefferson Street in downtown Joliet. The pep rally will follow immediately at the school gym, where the coach will speak and the players will be introduced and their medals presented to them. That'll be around 7 p.m. tonight in Joliet at the school gym. And also, LaSalle-Peru is planning a homecoming celebration for their championship playoff team, and they'll depart Normal Bloomington immediately after the game. They're going to take Route 51 to the town of Oglesby. At that town, a caravan will be formed, and then we'll travel into LaSalle-Peru on Route 51.
Into the middle, down to about the 16-yard line. Facinelli carrying again before he was wrapped up on the stop for LaSalle-Peru. Joe Pearson, a 5'9", 205-pound sophomore for Joe Marini's Cavaliers, making the play.
Let me tell you a little bit about the celebration in LaSalle-Peru. We'll meet at the school gym, where there will be a pep rally to introduce and honor all the players. And that'll be around 5:15 tonight.
Here's the final play of the game. They try to get wide, and finally 25 wraps up 25. Coming over to make the stop was Camilo Valley. On the ball carrier, Jim Wineold, and this 4A championship game is over. And Joliet Catholic has beaten LaSalle-Peru by a score of 25-0 as the Joliet Catholic fans swarm onto the field, and Joliet Catholic, the 4A state champions for the 4th consecutive time that they have won this championship, put on an outstanding display here this afternoon. They led at halftime by a score of 14-0. Came back and got a field goal, 17-0, and then a short touchdown run by Scott Kinsella to lead it 25-0. So they have won it. The 4A championship is now history, and we await the arrival tonight of St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove for the 5A championship, and we'll be on the air tonight at 7 o'clock to bring you the story of that one. Good football game, 25-0, as Joliet Catholic wins it over LaSalle-Peru. The 2 teams are beginning to make their way to the presentation area to receive their trophies, and we'll be back for that and the other coverage right after this. Well, you can see down on the field just below us the fans from Joliet Catholic to honor their football team. And coming up on the podium down there is Joe Marini, representing his football club, LaSalle-Peru, and a fine effort they put forth here this afternoon. Joliet Catholic, the winners, by a score of 25-0. And the runners-up in the 4A, LaSalle-Peru and the Cavaliers, will be honored here first before we go down on the field to bring you the trophy presentations for the champions of the 4A. So we've had 4 outstanding football games played well by the combatants here. 3 games just today. We saw Arcola win over Hampshire 42-14. We saw Stockton win over Carlinville 9-0. We had an outstanding game in 3A, and the 4A game, nothing different here this afternoon. So now it is time to pay official tribute to the state champions of the Illinois High School Association Class 4A football tournament. This is a big moment for the winners. Assisting with the trophy presentations is Donald K. Robinson, IHSA Assistant Executive Secretary in charge of football. To make the trophy presentations down on the field are Raymond Collier and William Yim. Both are members of the Board of Directors of the Illinois High School Association.
Gives me a great deal of pleasure to present the second place medallion to the coach of the LaSalle-Peru Cavaliers, our great representative of the North Central Illinois Conference. Joe, congratulations. Your team members and managers and assistant coaches will receive the silver medallions. And now to the co-captains, Matichak, Munson, and DiCarlo, second place, 4A 1976, LaSalle-Peru. Face the camera, buddy.
And his captains climbing the podium now, the captains representing Joliet Catholic, 4 times winners in the 4A championship. An outstanding football game played here this afternoon as Joliet Catholic won it by a score of 25-0. Now let's go back down to the sidelines for the presentations for the champions of 4A.
Coach Gillespie, on behalf of the Illinois High School Association, you've set a record. Congratulations on the number of wins. I understand it's 32 consecutive wins and the Class 4A championship. I'd like this addition to your collection, and on behalf of all the boys, we do have medallions for each of the winners. Congratulations, and continue the good luck. To the numerous captains we have up here, we won't take the time to mention them all. However, they're all deserving of a championship status. And for Class 4A championships for 1978, and also from 75, 76, 77, and 78, congratulations, fellas, for a job well done. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you tonight for the 5A and the concluding championship. Thank you.
So there you have the presentations of the 4A championship to Gordon Gillespie and his series of co-captains down on the podium below. A 25-0 victory for Joliet Catholic as they won it here this afternoon in the 4A championship. And tonight, St. Rita of Chicago and Buffalo Grove will be the combatants. 7 o'clock will be on the air for the telecast. Hope you will join us at that time for the final championship of the Illinois State High School football tournament. And the proud winners will have a happy ride home this afternoon. And right now, let's go to Tournament Central.
Thank you, Bob. We'll have a summary for you of the game just concluded, along with some videotape highlights very shortly, and we'll be back right after this.
And then late in the fourth quarter, it was Scott Kinsella going in on a short 1-yard pop to the left side. The 2-point conversion was a pass from Fitzgerald to Pondell with the 2-point conversion. That made it 25-0, and that was the final score as Joliet Catholic set a record by winning their 4th consecutive 4A state championship. Looking over some of the stats, The score 25-0. 16 first downs for Joliet Catholic, only 3 for LaSalle-Peru. They rushed for 281 yards to 19 yards rushing for LaSalle-Peru. Net yards passing, 28 for Joliet Catholic, 11 for LaSalle-Peru, and they missed on so many long passes, just barely missing on some long passes late in the ball game. Total yards for Joliet Catholic, 309 on the day to 30 for LaSalle-Peru.